This is episode 21, so if that's wrong, you can certainly blame the guy with the moped.
Oh, what a start.
He hasn't had a haircut. I mean, I shouldn't be laughing at incognito muggings.
No.
Because they're not funny, but I do find it very amusing that they've decided to leave your clothes. You've got a good-looking team, Dolan. I'd describe them all as housewives' favourites. Chester's got the body of an Adonis.
Can I believe it, man?
Good impression.
Yeah, not bad. It got better as the impression went on.
That was.
Oh, hello, Marlon.
I said to Anne, should we leave this up on the fridge permanently? And she was like, no. But it's still there. Big Marlon's still on the fridge. Hello, welcome to the Villa View podcast. It's season 3, it's episode 1, and it's Premier League. Tom, we've been commissioned again.
Oh,
unbelievable scenes.
I mean,
unbelievable.
It's bizarre, isn't it? You know, three seasons in, and if you are just joining us, welcome to the Villa View podcast. But
where have you been?
Yeah, you probably need to go through 2 seasons of pain to work here. We only accept fans that are either season ticket holders or have been with us from the start.
Yeah,
right?
We've got a very specific criteria.
No, we accept all Villa fans, whether you've never been to Villa Park yet, you love us from afar, or whether you go to every single game, you're welcome here.
Yeah, do you want to congratulate Darren Healy, who got married? I know he's a big watcher of the Villa View, and the podcast got married over the last few days, so congratulations, Darren.
Congratulations, Darren, and anyone else that got married. We've had a couple of marriage
a few
requests.
people have got married over the holiday period.
Yeah, it's
I'm
been
sure.
beaut weather for it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pre-season, and we're just getting into it as well.
Very early.
You and I have both been on holiday as well, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm still recovering from my birth. I'm still not right in the head.
Well,
since then.
Big party atmosphere.
Yeah, it's just not a rest, is it, when you go to Ibiza? It's just party. And yeah, I'm still recovering. So getting up at 7 a.m. for the podcast this morning will stand me in good stead, I'm sure.
I know that party atmosphere well.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, went to Sorrento myself.
That big party town.
Yeah, Mount Vesuvius.
I know it.
Went to Pompeii.
One of the more famous mounts.
Yeah, it's a volcano, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been there.
Have you?
Yeah, I've been there. My family's all Italian, aren't they? I've been to most places in Italy.
Beautiful, lovely weather. But we're back in the Premier League. Aston Villa are back playing football, which is nice.
Yeah.
And
Scott Hogan back in the goals, which we always knew he would be.
Yeah, we'll certainly come on to that. And we're finally seeing some of these fresh faces that we've talked about. And to be honest, you and I were fairly honest in that we haven't seen a lot of some of these players like Wesley and Engels, for example. But now we're starting to see him come back and play, and we can kind of make a judgment on it. I think you and I are of the same opinion when it comes to pre-season.
Yeah, I'm not a massive avid watcher of pre-season, to be honest, or that I really think it means anything, because I look at it as being an extension of training. Yeah. Because it's all about fitness. Results don't matter. Okay, you've got to get some form of shape, and you want to get players get the right amount of minutes in the tank to get them ready for day one. But players, when they're playing a pre-season friendly, they're not going full tilt. I don't think it's hard to motivate yourself in the same way for a friendly as it would be for a Premier League game, for example. So I don't think you can read too much into it. I mean, I don't know how much of a Villa Facebooker you are, but if you see some of the stuff that's on Villa Facebook, it's a strange place.
Yeah.
I will say the Forever Villains page isn't strange, that I am a member of, but there is some very strange places on Villa Facebook.
It's mental. The overreactions are just beyond anything. You know, like, I have a strange relationship with pre-season because it is important. It's good to get fitness. It's good to get some shape, start working together with these players that you haven't played with before. But ultimately, if you win 5 games out of 5 in pre-season, who cares?
I'm sure we won most of our pre-season games this season we went down.
Yeah, totally. It's all about, for me, getting used to each other. It's quite important for Dean Smith, I imagine, for like the squad cohesiveness, being away together and training hard, working hard. Like, you know, pre-season's a brutal regime. Even if you're part of a local team, you always have to. There's always someone that's sick or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard work. And like you say, the weather's been really hot. It was baking in Minnesota. Obviously, I wasn't there, but it looked quite warm. And yeah, it's all about getting some minutes, working hard. Having said that, I'm always watching it with a kind of eye that's like, oh, I wish he'd done that. I wish he'd done that. But very easy to do from your armchair.
Yeah, but I haven't spoken to many people that were at the game on Sunday, but I think the people that were there in the main, I've not seen too many overreactions on Twitter from the people that I know that were at the game. They've just gone there to have a good time. Mm-hmm. Basically, football's back. They want to go there and have a few beers with their mates. After everything we've said, it's nice to see Wesley play that nice through ball for for Scott Hogan. I mean, I've even seen Scott Hogan getting slammed for it not being a good finish. I mean, if it goes in, it's a good finish.
I thought it was quite a tidy finish. Yeah, to me that. I think he was trying to do that because he knows it's pre-season and that's where he wanted to do. I think he could have tried to put it anywhere he wanted, and he saw the opportunity and took it. That's my opinion. I know some people will say that he just hit it and it went in, but Scott Hogan's a good finisher. He has been a good finisher. We haven't seen it at Villa. We had a small 5 or 6 game period where Scott Hogan played really, really well. We haven't seen him as the finisher.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he won't be here come the start of the season. I'm pretty sure on that first day against Spurs you won't see Scott Hogan involved. But if he is here, let's get behind him. I mean, sometimes it just doesn't work out. I mean, it was a Steve Bruce signing, wasn't it? It was Steve Bruce being a bit greedy, I think, and then getting Scott Hogan in and not knowing what to do with him when you had him because we didn't play in the correct way that got the best out of Scott Hogan. It still wouldn't surprise me to see him go back to Brentford and we get Maupay in some kind of exchange deal with obviously Villa paying a fair whack for that. It still wouldn't surprise me to see that happen because I do think we probably need another striker.
Yeah, we'll come on to the squad in a little bit, and I think in the next few podcasts, I haven't even talked with you about this, but I quite like to break down each area of the squad, goalkeepers to forwards, and have a look and see what we're doing. Just giving all the other podcasters some
good
free
idea.
content there.
I look forward to everyone else doing that before this week.
But let's talk about the pre-season for a little bit. Minnesota United 0, Aston Villa 3. What did you make of that game?
I'm going to be honest and say I did not stay up and watch it. To be fair, I was coming back from Ibiza, so that would have been impossible.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. It's fine, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's fine. I think the good thing is that the Villa fans that were there, there's loads of massive Villa fans in America, and they don't obviously get to see Villa every week. Not as privileged as some Villa fans because they live in a different country, and they look like they had a cracking time and created a really good atmosphere, and just great to see. I think they handled it really well. I think the club did some really good stuff as well while they were over there with those fans, gave the fans access to come and watch training and stuff like that's nice to see. But when it gets down to the football, it's still nice to see Jack Grealish leading Aston Villa out, isn't it?
Yeah, just going back
to
the
headband.
That. I mean, what do you think of the headband? The headband's nice, isn't it?
I mean, he's just going through his next phase, really, isn't he? Every good player wears a headband at some point in their career, don't they? Beckham wore a headband, didn't they?
Right.
That's the only one I can think of. A lot of foreign players wear a headband.
I kind of think that he's trolling the trollers now at this stage. It's like all of the people accusing him of diving all this point. Now he's turning into that kind of just stereotypical foreign English player.
Foreign English player?
Yeah, but but you know what I mean? Where an English player, where an English player kind of gets a foreign influence. A la more of a
saying all foreigners are divers, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much. No,
Brexit, that'll be pleased.
What is happening here? Well, but anyway, he's put the headband on to wind up more people because people get annoyed by diving, they get annoyed by headbands.
I mean, he doesn't dive though.
No, he doesn't dive. Yeah. You're right.
I know. I see.
How have we gone down this rabbit hole?
I see what you're saying though.
So, Jack Grealish leads the team out. Great to see. Nice little finish from Grealish. I think this game should be caveated by the fact that Minnesota United are not the best team in the world. They're only an MLS team since 2017, so they've not got a huge. And I think they're only created in the 2000s. Maybe
only been playing soccer a few years.
Yeah. So let's caveat that first of all by saying that it's not like we're lining up against Arsenal or Manchester United or someone like that.
But it's pre-season anyway, so it doesn't matter.
But it's pre-season. It's very, very hot, and these players need to get used to each other. The way that Jack Grealish jinxed.
You're obsessed by the weather today, aren't you? You've said how hot it is.
It's because you haven't noticed my tan.
A number of times. You're right. I haven't noticed your tan.
No, it's fair. Jack Grealish jinxed past a defender. The defender kind of jumps in a la Dan Bardell in the Villa on Tour game a little bit. But it's a lovely finish from him. We also saw a really nice finish from Lansbury and Bjarnason. So those parts of the game, very, very nice.
Yeah. You're playing two different sides, aren't you, as well? Like we're making wholesale changes at half-time in both the games that we've had so far. Lansbury's an interesting one. He's never really had much game time in the Championship, so you wouldn't think he'd get much in the Premier League, but I understand Smith actually rates Lansbury and likes him. He's just never been able to give him a chance, or in previous years, Lansbury has just never been fit, has he? It's up to him now to prove whether he's capable of playing in the Premier League. Again, I'd expect a midfielder to come in. I think we all know who it's going to be. Douglas Luiz from Man City, who was at Girona last season in Spain. We expect that he'll he'll sign for us. But at some point, Lansbury will get a chance, and he's got to take it. But nice finish.
Well, this is his chance, isn't it? I've written here, huge opportunity for Henry Lansbury, because I think that he needs to make a mark in pre-season, and I thought he did really well with that nice finish. And he's probably got a few more games before, you're right, Luiz comes in. Bjarnason's obviously in the same kind of...
One of those two will go, and I would guess it's going to be Bjarnason.
That's kind of what I'm talking about. These two boys are fighting, but like you say, Dean Smith seems to like Lansbury, and you know, you look back at his Forest days, and you can see there that there is a good player there. We just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, again, it was a signing I think pretty much universally we all wanted when we signed him, and we were all excited about him, but it just hasn't worked out for whatever reason. A bit like Elphick, sometimes those kind of things happen, but Lansbury's still here. Smith obviously sees that he thinks he can be a Premier League player for the here and now. I'd suggest it's going to be difficult to get games, probably be a fifth choice midfielder, because I don't think he breaks in ahead of Douglas Luiz and the three that are already there in Horahan, McGinn and Grealish. So it's going to be tough for him to get in the side, but when he gets the chance, he's got to take it.
Well, that's it. Injuries are a thing that happens, and you know, like, I mean, this is a reference back to the Petrov podcast. When Petrov was out of the team, you know, he worked hard every day waiting for his chance, and you have to be ready to take it, and Petrov was, and Lansbury is probably in that camp right now where he knows that he hasn't played very much football, but he needs to be ready and take that opportunity when it comes.
I feel like injuries have really not just slowed down his career, but I feel like they've slowed him down a bit. He's not the player I remember him being when I was watching him at Forest. I think he scored a hat-trick against, it might have even been Newcastle. I remember him scoring a hat-trick before he came to us, and he looked like such a good player. Not powerful, but he could get around. I always think with his injuries at Villa, I always think his mobility's been affected a little bit. But I'd like to see him do well. Aston Radford would love to see him do well, because he's probably his favourite footballer of all time.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone wax lyrical more.
He's probably the equivalent of me with Marlon, really, isn't it? No one probably goes on about Marlon Harewood as much as I do.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, so it's the equivalent, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I think
have you got anyone like that who you've...
That I can't...
Over the years that not really been massively popular, but you've always been, oh, what a player, what a guy.
I really liked Andreas Weimann. I really wanted that to work out.
I think most of us liked him for a long period.
He was a nice guy, and all of these guys seem nice guys, but I kind of just wanted him to push on. He couldn't quite do it. Not off the top of my head. I'll have a little think. I'll check out in a minute. No, Tonev was never.
Kieran Richardson?
Never my guy. I'm trying to think back to the old tweets that we went through. I think I was a big Brad Guzan guy.
You were. To be fair, Guzan had a very good season, that first season under Lambert.
I tell you who I might be for this season.
Oh, go on, Ed.
Courtney Hawes.
Oh yeah, you were talking about him off camera, weren't you?
Yeah, I really like his post-match interviews. I like the way he plays. I hope he gets the chance, because I think he could be a future Villa captain if he grows. He's still got a lot to learn, but he's in the right place to learn under Smith and Terry. I think he's got all the makings of a very, very good centre-back. I just don't know whether he'll get the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, as I say, I like Courtney Hawes again. I agree with what you said there, and I think he did really well when he came in last season, but long term, if you look at the left-hand side of defence, it's pretty much sewn up, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're bringing in centre-backs right, left and centre. Very much different from this time last year.
Yeah, but you could never have too many centre-backs, as we found out last summer.
But yeah, Courtney Hawes is probably one of those guys that I'm going to bang the drum for, and we might not see the most of him here, but hopefully, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Berke Bjarnason finished the scoring with only a few minutes left in the game. Very nice header, but he's completely unmarked, kind of just drifts into the box. It's a nice ball in, but a nice... I think the Birmingham Mail said a nice stooping header. It was a diving header.
It reminded me of the Van Persie diving header a little bit. Not the fact that it wasn't as good as that. No. The technique of the dive. It wasn't like a stereotypical diving header. It was like, I don't know. I can't do it because I'm not an athlete.
I feel like diving headers are underrated a little bit.
You don't see too many diving headers nowadays.
No.
You used to back in the day. You used to see quite a few. Diving headers didn't really like Dion doubling up front, but because the teams mostly play with one striker now, and stereotypically it's not a big target man, you don't see too many diving headers. No. Benteke scoring one against Arsenal.
Yeah.
For us, he was few things have been more satisfying than watching Benteke head the ball home over the years.
Yeah, that's very, very true. We've got so it finishes 3-0 there, and There's a few kind of pot shots, long-range shots. Bjarnason has an effort. El Ghazi has an effort. James Chester has a header that could have gone in.
Good to see Chester back.
Great to see
Although
Chester.
He's limped off in the last game right at the death, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Isn't great.
So I wanted to come on to Chester, but we might as well do it now. The fact that we've got 5 centre-backs of pretty high calibre at this stage, where do you see Chester in the rankings of those centre-backs?
Well, Mings is number 1, isn't it?
Yes.
I suggest Hawes is backup for Mings. And then there's Engels and Konsa. I've heard some rumours about Konsa going out on loan, but I don't know how true that is. I don't think that can't be. You don't spend £12 million on someone to send them on loan. I wouldn't think. And in my opinion, you need 5 centre-backs, especially when a couple have had injury problems in their career. I really don't know. At the moment, I'd say 4th, 5th. Because I think Hawes and Mings are vying for the left-hand side of centre-back, and then the other 3 are going for the right-hand side, and Konsa's a player that Smith knows well. I look at Konsa as being the replacement for Twan Zaber, and a similar kind of player, very athletic. Engels, I can't say that I know much about, but you wouldn't think he's coming in to be backup, would you? It's difficult. You need a squad, but I think there's probably concerns over Chester's fitness, which is why we're going with the 5 relatively big names at centre back.
The Engels transfer is a bit weird. Do you know much about this?
Well, no. I know that we've signed him.
Yeah. So, but he was at Olympiacos, and then Olympiacos kind of went, we don't need you. He went out on loan to Reims. Reims signed him this summer.
Okay.
And then pretty much sold him straight away for a tidy profit to Villa.
It's a bit like did you see the Jovic one? He was at Frankfurt. Frankfurt signed him for £6 million because it was part of the deal that they had to sign him for £6 million, and then he goes straight to Madrid for £54 million.
Madness.
Cracking business.
Yeah,
absolutely cracking business.
And so and I think there's a I don't know whether it was a written part of the contract or whether just an agreement, but yeah, it was basically if a decent offer comes in from the Premier League, then Engels can go, and that was that. So he played 33 games, I think, for Reims last year in the league. Quite a consistent guy. Like he's gonna stay fit essentially, unless something stupid happens. But yeah, so good quality, 6'3".
Belgian defenders are usually pretty good.
Yeah.
In recent years.
I mean,
are they in the Premier League?
Wouldn't mind that.
Yeah.
And, and then we've gone from being absolutely bare bones now to being quite a monstrous defence, potentially.
Defence?
I knew you were going to say it then. I couldn't help myself. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I was done. A monstrous defence.
Yes, better.
Potentially, because with all of these things, we haven't actually seen them play consistently together. And with Konsa, he's only just come from Charlton, really. 1 season at Brentford, and now he's into the Premier League. That's a fast rise. We saw it with Smalling. Smalling was able to do it. So, there's a great potential for this defence. But I'm watching it now. But there's a bit of a risk there as well.
Also, I think what we've negated to mention so far is that I think that there might be games we play 3 centre-backs this season, maybe tough away games, maybe that day one against Spurs, you might see us line up with something different. So I think to have 5, to be able to do that, you have to have 5 centre-backs, don't you, at the club really. What I like about Smith is we obviously can't go out there and just buy the finished article, especially with the way transfer fees are now. They're absolutely crazy. We probably said this last summer, but this summer they've gone up another level. The transfer fees, they're just, some of them you can't believe. Like Sheffield United have signed Moussa from Bournemouth. He's barely done anything for Bournemouth in the Premier League, but because he's played in the Premier League, automatically he's £10 million minimum, and they've signed him for $10 million. So I like that Smith, he picks players who he can work with and he can mould a little bit. And I think that's what he's doing. If you look at Tyrone Mings, he'd never really played any long period at centre-back until he came to Villa. He's come to Villa, played centre-back, and Dean Smith and his coaching team have created a monster, essentially. Haven't they, with what they've done with him, and he was phenomenal last season. They're going to have to do that again. Well, in all these positions.
Engels has talked about in his first interview about how he likes to play out from the back, and that's obviously
suits Villa down to a T.
That's Smith's remit, isn't it? Hypothetically, if Bruce was in charge and we'd gone up and we're playing Spurs away, and Bruce plays 5 at the back. Do you think he gets pelters for being too defensive?
Yeah, because when Bruce plays 5 at the back, it is
5 centre-backs.
It's basically a flat back 5.
Yeah.
We'd have had Hutton as a right centre-back or left centre-back.
Yeah.
I mean, Bruce last season started using it in pre-season, and then when we just didn't have the personnel to even do that. You say we've said earlier pre-season's the time to work on things and see if things work, but that was never going to work.
Yeah.
I think I went to the West Ham game at the Bescott last season. We played 3 at the back, and we just looked awful, absolutely awful. We didn't look like we had a clue what we were supposed to be doing. I think he's done the same at Newcastle. He's gone in there and played 3 at the back for the first game. I mean, I never thought I'd see him back in the Premier League with us, Steve Bruce. Madness.
Steve Bruce, what has transpired this summer for Steve Bruce? It's just absolutely crazy, and he must wake up and just go, how has this happened? He's a Newcastle fan.
It's his dream job, essentially.
And fair play, if you're being offered that job, go and take it. Fine, you've screwed over Sheffield Wednesday, but it's your dream job. I
can forgive that.
Right, but how has it happened? What is going on in Newcastle United where it's like, yeah, we really need a good manager here to fill the role that Rafa Benitez left. Great job he's done there. Who are we going to get? First name on the team sheet. Yeah, Steve Bruce.
Apparently they approached Allardyce as well.
Yeah.
Is the other one.
Allardyce said that, didn't he?
I mean, Allardyce has been there before at Newcastle as well, so he knows what a madhouse is. I said on Twitter, it's absolute all-out warfare from Mike Ashley. It's like, what can I do?
Yeah.
It's really going to annoy the Newcastle fans. They don't like me. I might as well make the most of this and just be an idiot.
I mean, Newcastle is one that I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with because...
You've got a friend, haven't you, that supports him?
I've got a couple of friends that support...
I've got one that supports him who's an idiot.
Oh, right, okay. Well, no, my Newcastle friends are okay, but generally the fan base is one of those that Villa is sometimes tied to, where it's like an old big club and they went down and...
Newcastle aren't a big club, in my opinion. Carry on there.
But anyway, they were like, oh, we deserve to be in the Premier League. They were all that kind of fan base, and that was very annoying. But now they've been through so much stuff where, they're so close to being sold.
I feel sorry for them.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel very sorry for them because, as we found out when we went down with 17 points, when your owner gives up the ghost, it's very uninspiring going every week. And I've got. I mean, we'll do predictions in a few weeks, but they are first on my list for going down.
So that's the good thing about Steve Bruce being employed.
Yeah, but he won't last.
But
if he gets by Christmas,
do you think he'll be gone by Christmas?
100%.
I was thinking February, March.
I mean, I predicted Rafa Benitez would walk before Christmas. I think the last 2 seasons, and he hasn't. So don't listen to my predictions, but. I don't know, it's like Rafa Benitez for Steve Bruce, it's just not a fair trade, is it?
No.
It's a terrible trade.
I was speaking about this on a stag do the other day, about Benitez goes to China. Now, he's obviously gone there for the money.
Sure.
And you make those decisions, you do whatever you want, that's fine. To me, though, you make so much money. He's a Champions League winner, he's had a very storied career. How much money do you need?
I think he's got cash in the bank.
Exactly. How much money do you need? Because he's still he's probably got... 2 more maybe big jobs in it.
If you do it for a year, you've not lost anything, have you?
Do you not think?
Jobs come up again next summer.
I don't know.
They will. It's crazy money, but you've got a chance to look after your family for...
He's already done that.
I know he has, but you know what I mean? But even more so in the future by taking that job.
Yeah.
So I look at it, it's a year off, essentially. You don't have to work very hard.
No.
Will he? He's just had a nightmare. To be fair, he's probably had a nightmare few years at Newcastle working under Mike Ashley. It's probably not been pleasant. He basically said himself, zero communication. So he's gone from that. He's basically taken a year off, but getting paid silly money to do it. And then he comes back next year. His reputation is not going to be hurt by whatever happens in China. You get a decent job when you come back.
Yeah, I suppose like AC Milan will come calling or something like that.
Yeah, he's been at Inter before, hasn't he? I think.
Oh yeah. Sure.
I don't know how much that affects things. Italy doesn't seem to matter. You go back. People go manage all sorts in Italy, don't they? Yeah, it's ridiculous.
One thing we've kind of gone off
his
topic.
First podcast was always going to be a bit like this. I feel very rusty. I'm not going to lie.
Me too. Going back to the Minnesota game, did you see the attitude of the steward?
Yes, I did.
So if you haven't seen this on Twitter, go and find it. It's a bit mad. Dean Smith is basically signing shirts for fans, and the steward comes in and rips the shirts off.
Because the fans had taken the shirt off, apparently.
You're not allowed to take your shirt off.
Why?
Well, I don't know. It just seemed like a totally...
You've already said it's hot.
It was very hot. Maybe burning. Maybe sunburn. Maybe the steward is...
I don't think that's the reason.
No, it's not the reason. He's a job's worth, essentially.
But like an idiot.
It just seemed absolutely... Like, it just took the good mood... Or the shine, maybe, off that game.
Yeah, because I'm sure Minnesota did lots of good things and were very good to Villa while they were over there, and a lot of positives, so we probably shouldn't focus too much on the negative, but it was very, very strange. Pat Solly wouldn't be happy with that former steward. No chance. She wouldn't have that.
She's in a senior position now. She'd tear him a new one.
That is not how we like to see stewards operate.
Talking about the good things, Villa Mark PGH, who is out there.
I thought you said talk about the good things, Villa Mugs. Then
no,
that's not what you've said.
But Villa Mugs are on the notes. We'll come to those.
I've heard that completely wrong.
What did you think? Like, there's been some great social media footage of the Villa boys out in Minnesota, and it looks like a massive party. I mean, I must admit, when I watched it, I just wanted to be there.
Yeah, but unfortunately, you'd have had to be doing some job in China to get the money to afford to go over.
Yeah,
I'd have loved to have been there as well, but it's not possible. But as I said earlier, it's just good that those people that don't get to watch Villa, like Mike Pearson, for example, someone I know quite well, who gets over to Villa Park when he can, living in Texas. Now he gets to go over and watch Villa, and yes, it's only a friendly, but to those guys it means everything, watching their team play. Some people watching the team play for the first time, I imagine, because if you've only started supporting them in the last 10 years, you might not have got over to Villa Park to watch your team play. So I like that the club went over there and embraced their American fans. And I saw when I was in New York in Christmas last season, just the passion and the love for the club of people who, okay, they're not born in Aston. They don't go to Villa Park every week, but they watch Villa every week, and they go to the same place, watch it with their mates, watch Villa. And they love the club as much as we do, and they have an affiliation and an affection with the club as much as we do. So I think it's great that those people got to see Villa play.
Totally,
live.
Couldn't agree more. And I mean, it's also good for the club as a whole. You know, the commercial aspect of Aston Villa feels like it's been a bit neglected in the last couple of years. You know, we've had our local pre-season friendlies, and they're really important, and they're kind of traditional at this stage. But to branch out into America and the fan base, and because it is growing, you know, we see it just in a small microcosm of this podcast.
Good word.
Thank you. The growth of the fan base globally, that's really important as well. And Christian Purslow is obviously an absolute knowledge when it comes to that kind of thing.
His talk was very good.
Yeah,
very
totally.
Good.
So
is that in the notes?
No.
Come on.
I got off holiday yesterday, less than 12 hours ago.
You should have asked me to fill in.
You wouldn't have done that.
I would have.
If I'd have texted you
Although
saying,
you had the plane journey to do it, or you had a baby.
Oh, my goodness, it was an absolute nightmare. Anyway, if I'd have texted you and said, can you just do the notes, I'd have got a one-word response.
No, I'd have done it for you, mate.
No way. Anyway, Christian Purslow, very switched on with that kind of stuff, and that is only good for the business side of Villa, because that's important as well.
Yeah, they did some form of kit launch, I don't know the specifics of it, over there, didn't they, as well? There were fans that were over there could get the kit, which again is nice to see. Not sure about Villa's terminology with this new kit though, saying something's iconic before it's even been released. I mean, very strange.
There's a few questions about that kit.
I don't know whether that's Villa or Kappa.
Yeah,
but the word iconic isn't right.
The whole thing didn't work for me, the kit launch. I mean, you couldn't see the kit.
I think that video was quite strange.
Fundamentally an issue. If you compare it with someone like Norwich's kit launch, for example, they had all the fans in the tunnel just like roaring. That's part of the pride. That's kind of what Villa have been working at as their brand identity.
Yeah, there was nothing of that, was there?
There was nothing of that, and it was just a bit weird. And fundamentally, you couldn't really see the kit. And there's a couple of other issues there where you don't know when the away kit is coming out.
I know you can pre-order it tomorrow.
You can, yeah, but the whole thing just seemed messy to me.
Oh yeah. Villa and kits always seems to be a bit of an issue. We also to be the last team to release their kit for whatever reason, and I get that. Like, okay, we've changed brands. I think we've come late with the sponsorship again, which that always seems to happen with Villa. The sponsor seems to change last minute, and it is what it is, isn't it? But I know fans are desperate to get their hands on the kit as early as possible. Saying that, we've completely missed a trick by not getting ours for the first podcast.
That's true. I'm not sure I'm going to get it.
I'm going to get one.
Yeah, well, you get them all, don't you? I just don't. And this is a cheap shot, and it's easy to say, but it's not as nice as the Luke Roper kit.
No, the Luke Roper kit there was something special about it.
I bought the Luke Roper kit.
I do like Kappa, though. I generally, as a brand, I like Kappa.
Sure. I'm going to buy some training wear, I think, because I think I prefer that.
Tracksuit bottoms.
Yeah, possibly. I bought the Luke Roper kit for two reasons. One, we were in financial trouble and I wanted to support the club.
Tom Julian saved Aston Villa.
No, come on.
With his shirt purchase.
We talked about this last year. You can only do what you can do, and I don't get to many games. But the second reason was that was a brilliant partnership between a Villa fan and...
I've just got visions of you walking into the club shop. I'm here, lad. Here's my £50 for the shirt.
No, but you can do what you do, and that's what I did.
I know. It's a funny image.
This year, obviously, it's a Premier League kit, and we're back in the Premier League. But to me, it doesn't have that feel. I might change my mind. I really like the away kit, and so maybe I'll go with that when we can get our hands on it. But at the moment, I'm not sure I'm going to.
I mean, it's not come out yet. I think people have seen various pictures of it on social media, but the third kit looks the one to me.
Right.
Bit of a retro colour scheme going on, and I've got a lot of time for that.
I like the black goalkeeper kit. Actually.
Yeah, the goalkeeper tops. Actually, the goalkeeper tops are nice. The green one was nice as well. That Steer wore the other day.
When did it become like a basic kind of normality that the goalkeeper top is just a normal top at this stage? You don't get the padding.
Yeah, you can't buy long sleeves anymore with goalkeepers tops. I don't think.
Yeah,
and always short sleeved,
which is kind of nice because it means that there's another shirt for fans.
I do like that black shirt. I've forgotten that I had that feeling. Maybe I get that.
I'll give you that feeling. Yeah. Just to go back to the kit launch 1 second, I think Villa's media team were kind of a little bit maybe blindsided by the fact that then the Mings transfer came in, and then they wanted to do Mings all in full kit, and that was a nice little bit of video, but that kind of threw the kit launch out of the window because now we've already seen the kit because Mings is fully in. So
I mean, we don't know the complexities of that go on behind the scenes with these kind of things, and I don't know how much Villa had to do with that kit launch and how much of it's Kappa or it might be all Villa.
Yeah.
Like we don't know, do we? But it's a bit rushed. It felt rushed.
I felt like the Mings thing threw everything into the air, and it was just like, what's going to land? And I don't think that's Villa's fault per se. You had to do the Mings full kit at the train station. Anyway, we've again digressed quite beautifully in a traditional.
That our podcast is iconic. Because it's been out for longer than that shirt. I mean, the podcast is iconic. It's an iconic podcast.
Again, I mean, the Aston Villa View Cup of Traditions is iconic at this stage.
Oh, you're acknowledging that now. I thought we were going to ignore it.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
you silly boy.
It's here. I love it.
I know, but we were going to not acknowledge it until we talked about that game.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's pre-season.
That was your idea.
It's pre-season, mate. Yeah. Well, let's move on then to Shrewsbury 0, Aston Villa 1. I must admit, I watched this last night when my wife wasn't very happy. I was kind of spooling through the highlights. So again, not fully invested in the pre-seasons as yet, but two completely different sides for both halves again, and you know, it was I felt like it was kind of a traditional pre-season performance, a bit laboured at times, but you know, Villa played some nice football. There was some nice link-up play, and I saw enough of some of the players that I wanted to.
My biggest concern for pre-season is always are those squad numbers, the squad numbers that are going to be used for the new season. Because obviously I've got to start getting them locked in my brain. I've noticed how Ghazi's gone from 22 to 21.
Oh, right.
I think he's wore that number previously, 21. So that's usually my biggest concern.
Got to bank that for squad numbers, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, like, you see reports from people that were there, and I've seen some saying, Hepburn Murphy, for example, he's not going to make it, he was no good. Then Villa posted a picture of him saying, how good was this guy on Sunday? I've heard other people say he looked lively and sharp, so you don't know what to believe.
Totally. There's a couple of really rash bits of play from Villa as well. Jed Steer kind of came out and wiped out their striker.
I saw someone give Jed Steer a 3 out of 10 for his performance on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't think he did too much wrong. Apart from that was awful. But James Chester as well kind of looked a little bit sluggish. The boy turns inside him and Chester kind of waves a leg. Again, very close to the penalty area.
Shrewsbury, I presume, are ahead of us in their pre-season schedule because they play a week before we do.
Quite possibly.
I presume they're going to look a little bit sharper.
Yeah.
And that could be an easy get-out for Villa. But you know what I'm saying? They're a week ahead. Their season starts in the next 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
The Championship start 3rd of August.
I think it did last year, didn't it?
Yes, it's 3rd of August. We're the 10th, so they're a week ahead of us, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty mental schedule as well, coming back from Minnesota, which is a long flight, and then...
Yeah, getting back acclimatised and stuff.
You know, it's hot. You've got to remember that.
Very hot.
And yeah, there are a lot of excuses, and I think most of them... Again, we're going back to it. chuck pre-season out the window.
We're repeating ourselves at this point.
Yeah, a little bit. I tell you what I did want to talk about, and you mentioned it earlier, was the beautiful knock from Wesley to Scott Hogan, and whether Hogan is there or not at the start of the season, and whether Wesley is the finished article or not, because people are already kind of slamming him on Twitter or kind of putting him up as the next big thing.
You've got to give the guy time.
You've got to give the
new league, new country. It's not easy.
That little bit of play was a really nice indication of what he can do. Obviously, It's against the League One team, but it's pre-season. If he can do that, he'll get up to speed, and it's really nice that he can drop deep, pick the ball up.
That's what I've noticed so far in pre-season, is that he likes to come deep and link the play, which is very good. But it means the wingers and the midfielders need to be on their bike. But then again, they've got to get used to how he plays. He's got to get used to how the Villa midfield plays. Because obviously, Grealish, for example, it's probably not. It's not in his natural game to run beyond. But Dean Smith obviously tried to get him doing that over the last season. So we've got to get used to how each other play. But Wesley, you've got to give him time. It's never easy as a striker, especially. It's never easy coming into a new country and a new league, especially Premier League as well. He's playing top level straight away. He's going to be expected to be the main man. We've spent £22 million on him. It takes time. I've seen some Savo Milosevic comparisons. Savo was a good player for us. Whatever anyone says, he had a good record. Him and York had a great partnership, and a lot of how well Dwight York did was down to Savo Milosevic. It's no coincidence that York truly made it at Villa when Milosevic was his partner. So you just got to give Wesley time. Benteke, I remember when he first came in, he scored in his debut. Then he had a bit of an iffy period, and people were like, "Oh, this guy's no good." Donkey. I think I've heard some people unkindly call him Heskey Mark II, which is unkind to both players, because again, Heskey's a good footballer. Having played with him in a fight.
He says the same about you.
He's a very good player. So you got to get, and then Benteke goes on to score 19 goals or whatever it was in the Premier League. So you just got to be patient with people. That's the big thing this season for Villa. I don't want it to go back to negativity every 5 minutes and getting on the players' backs every time they give away a pass, because this season is undoubtedly going to be harder than the tail end of last season. We're not going to go in the Premier League and win 10 games in a row. I wouldn't think, but I want the goodwill and the good nature and the good relationship between the fans and the players. I want that to remain, even when we're losing and we're getting beat, which could happen day one at Spurs. I want us to all stick together, and part of that is not getting on new players' backs.
That's one of my biggest concerns, I think, for the Premier League, is that obviously the last couple of years have not been perfect, and we've had long stretches where it's been downright miserable. But when it's going good, there's nothing like Villa Park.
It's magical.
There's nothing like the fan relationship and the Villa media team. They put a lot of content out so that relationship can be built. But when it's going bad, everything goes quiet and it gets toxic. And this is going to be a hard season. We're not going to finish sixth. We're not going to. It's going to be really tricky, and there's every chance.
We're going to finish sixth because Tom Julian just said we're not going to, so we're going to.
Works for me.
Yeah.
There's every chance that we're going to be fighting until the last couple of games of the season, and. So that means that there's going to be runs where it's going to be horrible. The weather's going to be rubbish.
You are upset.
That was for you. No. And it's just going to get bad. But Villa fans, it's so important, I think, that we need to kind of raise the mood, because that's going to be really important this year.
The way I see it, we're supporters, but we have a job to do, and I think we have a duty this season to stay on side and stay with Dean Smith. Dean Smith deserves our backing the whole of this campaign, whatever happens, because he's the right man for this football club. And I would think even if we're sitting bottom of the league, we stick with Dean Smith because he's deserved that chance. I was starting to think, I know it sounds a bit hyperbolic. I always get that word. I always try and say it, and I always get it wrong. I always have to think about it. It sounds a bit hyperbolic to say, but I was, after 3 years, I was starting to think if we don't go this year, we're going to be down here for a very, very long time, potentially doing a Leeds. But Dean Smith has made sure that didn't happen, Dean Smith and his coaching team.
And the owners.
And the owners as well. So they all deserve our backing this season, because it's been tremendous.
Yeah, for sure. And you've seen that with other teams that have gone down and then come back up again because they trust in the coaching staff. It will be, and I don't think it's going to happen, but it will be a huge mistake to make a rash decision if we.
I don't think we will. I really think I think Purslow and Smith have such a good relationship as well, and effectively it's Purslow's decision, isn't it? With the manager, he's chosen Dean Smith. Dean Smith's his man. certainly. Well, he's better than Zidane. He's Dean Smith's man, isn't he? So I think he'll stick with him whatever happens this season.
I was surprised going back to the Shrewsbury game to see Max O'Leary playing in goal for them.
Yeah, I spotted that yesterday.
So he was obviously the guy that produced heroics for Bristol City against Villa last season. So he's gone back out on loan. They've got Nicky Menpar in.
Oh, yeah.
Who's kind of the established number one.
Where was he when we played them injured?
He must have been, yeah. But O'Leary was called back, so you'd have thought he's only 22.
He was good.
He would have got his chance. Obviously, Bristol City fans have seen a lot more of him than we have. Maybe we saw him on a worldy day. But back out on loan, down into League One.
Made a couple of good saves as well against us.
But I read in like the Bristol kind of local paper, just doing some for the notes. They are looking for another keeper. So I don't know whether it's just because they want O'Leary to play every week, but I don't know. To me, that if I was him, I'd feel a little bit disappointed about that. Obviously, we don't know the whole situation.
Probably wants to play every week, and he's guaranteed to play every week at Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
We haven't sorted out. We still expect us to sign a goalkeeper, don't we? But it's not been done yet.
I was going to talk to you about the goalkeeper.
Certainly not the
situation.
one we were talking about at our event. We don't know what's happened there.
No, this transfer window for Villa has been a bit weird in terms of the signings have really come out of nowhere in the main, haven't they?
I think when you're signing someone who's British-based, you get whispers of what's going on. I know personally I've heard more about things that have been happening when it's been a British player that's involved, but Engels and Wesley, for example, didn't hear anything.
But even Hotter came out of nowhere.
I think it was murmurs.
Really?
With Hotter in the days leading up to it. But yeah, you've thrown me there with interruptions.
Transfer speculation.
Yeah, just like when we've signed the foreign players from abroad, it's been really quiet, and it has literally come from nowhere. No one had Wesley, or the people I speak to that I know get good information. Wesley was just completely out of the left field. Engels, there was nothing in the weeks leading up to that about us signing him. So I think, obviously, the foreign media are better at keeping secrets. What I've learned.
What about the next one then? Obviously, we've talked about Luis a little bit, but Trezeguet.
Yeah.
Again, that feels like it's been a long time coming. The Telegraph, who I kind of trust, said 2 days ago that we were going to sign him. Still heard nothing.
I think that's been done. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. From what I hear, that is done, and I'm not sure why it hasn't been announced yet. I don't know whether there's work permit issues or something that have to go through first, but that'll happen.
High hopes.
Again, don't know much about him. I'd love to come on here and be the oracle of all things football, but
make a change.
Yeah, it would really make a change for the podcast to be like that. But I don't know much about him. Again, don't think he's the finished article. I think he's someone that Smith will want to refine a little bit. I think he's a very tricky player, very, very skillful. But, for example, and this is a bit of a lazy stereotype for me with wingers, he's probably not the best at tracking back at the moment. He's a flair player, but he knows Elmo. He'll know Elmo well, won't he? Playing at Egypt together, so he'll have a buddy to help him settle in, which I think always helps as well when new players are acclimatising. So I don't know loads about him, but we need a winger, we need a wide player. Yeah,
so Sam Hornsey says, what transfer business needs to be completed still before the start of the season? Mentioned goalkeeper.
I don't think that's neat. I don't think that's one that's desperately needed. I think we will buy a goalkeeper, but I don't think it's one that we're desperate to do. Kalinic will go. He was never a Dean Smith signing, I don't think. No. He was a Pitarch signing, and you could tell straight away with him, you could tell he wasn't a Smith signing because he wasn't good at playing out from the back particularly. And again, I've not seen loads of Kalinic. Obviously, I've seen as much as everyone else, but he just doesn't strike me as being a Dean Smith goalkeeper. As soon as he could get Jed steering, he got Jed steering and kept him there. And I'm not sure Jed Steer's 100% a Dean Smith goalkeeper, but he's done very well for us. And if he's starting the season for us, I've got no qualms about that, no worries at all, because I really like Jed Steer, and there is part of me that thinks he really deserves the chance because he did more than most to get us up in the end. But Butland, I think it was pretty much done. It was there for it. It was there, but I think Stoke have completely moved the goalpost with the price, and Villa have said no, which is fair enough. Yeah. They obviously don't want to overpay for him. I think he's only got a year left on his contract as well, Butland. So in the list, from what I heard, Heaton was the next one, and he'll be the one that I expect we'll get. But again, £10 million for him is a lot of money.
That is a lot.
He's older than me.
Yeah,
and that's old.
That is old.
He's older than me. I know keepers generally tend to be they can play till they're 40 and stuff. And I like Heaton. Don't get me wrong, I think Heaton's a very, very good goalkeeper. I like his communication. He strikes me as being more of a Dean Smith goalkeeper. His distribution's good as well, Tom Heaton, but he's got a year left on his contract and Burnley are asking for £10 million. I just think, again, I think Villa are going to just turn around and say, that's too much, lads.
I agree with you for the most part. All I want is a bit of competition for Jed Steer and somebody, again, like Heaton, who Jed Steer can learn things from as well. That seems to me quite important. At the moment, it's Steer's jersey, and I don't think there's any competition.
Neeland? We had this discussion in another video.
I just don't like Orlan Neeland. I don't think he's a good goalkeeper at a Premier League level. I don't think he was a good goalkeeper at Championship level. Therefore, ergo, it won't happen. He won't start in the Premier League.
I don't think he will either. But again, just by goalkeeping style, I think Neeland is the one that he's a Dean Smith goalkeeper.
Because his distribution.
Because of his distribution. Yeah. I look back at Brentford, he had Bentley in goal. I've seen Bentley make some absolute howlers for Brentford, but his distribution was spot on, so he stayed in the team in the main. I think Smith liked Neeland. I know he had a mistake in him, but there was just something about Neeland that I really, really liked.
I think he got. And this maybe this is revisionist history, but just before he got injured, I think there was one good game. I think I might have said on the podcast, like, maybe this is the turning point. Fans were getting maybe a little bit more supportive of him. But I mean, one game doesn't make him a Premier League goalkeeper, and I just haven't seen enough, and I don't think he'll be there. Andrew Deal says, if the season were to start this weekend, who would you make the back line, including goalkeeper? We've talked obviously about the goalkeeper, and it's Jed Steer's jersey.
Yeah, it'll be, at the moment, as it stands, it's Steer's shirt to lose. I mean, we put the curses on goalkeepers between us last season. You saying about Neil and getting better, he gets injured the next game, and then I made up a Kalinic chant and he got injured.
Oh yeah,
next game, and never to be seen again. But
tragic.
On the question side of it, Steer, I think Elmo's probably got the right back jersey still. Right centre back, I've not got down at the moment. I'm not sure who that will be. At the moment, I can't separate them. So then Mings is a certainty at left centre back, and I think Target will come in and play straight away at left back.
I agree with you. I think Engels, just for experience sake, he's a few years older.
Not Premier League experience though, Tom.
Not Premier League experience, you're right, but top level experience. You know, he's played in top levels.
Has he played for Belgium? He hasn't, has he?
Under 21s. Yeah, but played in top level obviously in France last season. But yeah, I agree with you, and I think that position is still up for grabs. So if Conte has a decent pre-season and gets on well with Smith and with Mings, then that is up for grabs. Adam Crow, without Jednak and Whelan, do you think there's enough senior big characters in the dressing room? Will there be enough goals in the side after being reliant on Tammy? 2 questions there for the price of 1.
I do think Tammy's a massive miss, and I do think he would have scored goals for us in the Premier League. But I've already seen bits from Wesley that tell me that his link-up play might be a bit better than Tammy Abraham's, but if we could get Abraham back, when we won't be able to, I'd be very, very happy with that, because I think he'd score goals for us. Until we've finished our business, it's difficult to predict what's going to happen. I think you've got to look at it the day before the season starts, and you know where your squad's at, you know who's there, and I think then you can paint a more realistic picture of what you think's going to happen. Like, we won't do our predictions until the window's shut, because there's no point, essentially, because teams could do massive business. We've lost a lot of senior players and big characters in the dressing room. Obviously, Hutton's been at Villa a while as well. He was a big character and a popular player in the dressing room. So he's gone. Jednak, Whelan, Elphic's a bit of a leader as well, isn't it? So there is big characters. That Mark Bunn was very popular as well with the players. So it's difficult going through that. I guess a little bit, and the players losing friends. I mean, they should be used to it by now. But you know what I'm saying. There's a different dynamic to the dressing room now, where it requires different people to step up and be leaders.
Totally,
and that's what's there now.
I think that's part of the circle of life, isn't it, for footballers, that players leave and then new ones take it. Grealish obviously becoming a leader. As I said, I think Courtney Hawes, Tyrone Mings. You look at players like Conor Hourihane, who's been there a long time. McGinn, I'd love to know what. McGinn seems like a bit of a laugh and a good kind of character in the dressing room as well. And these new players, they'll come in and you imagine the kind of big kind of centre backs will be loud, strong characters. We don't know yet, but leaders will emerge.
No, but there's different types of leaders, isn't there? We spoke about this with Petrov a little bit, but Whelan and Jednak are very, very specific in what they do, and unless you're getting in a similar player of that ilk, you're not going to get what they give you. I mean, it's the right decision for them to go, because I don't think they would have cut it in the Premier League. I think there was a case for Wheeler maybe, but I think it might have been a struggle pace wise for him. But you can't really replace that.
Yep.
You can't really replace what they bought us in the dressing room, but you can replace what they bought us on the pitch, and you've got to evolve.
Stephen Deakin, would you like to see us have a good cup run this season, or just almost forfeit the cups and focus purely on the league? A couple of comments on that, but I'll go with you first.
Well, our players are now used to playing a lot of games, the ones that have been there over the past couple of years, because 46 games in the Championship is a slog. Mm-hmm. So 38 in the Premier League, that's 8 games off. In my opinion, you have a good cup run, that just makes you break even.
Yeah.
So you go for when you're a Premier League team. I think when you're in the Championship, there's no point, especially when you're vying for promotion. I didn't see the point in us going for it in the cups, and it was pretty miserable in the cups if I remember correctly throughout our time in the Championship. But now, Dean Smith will go for it. He'll want to win something at Villa. He'll want to have some form of legacy, right. And he'll know. Despite what I've said earlier, he'll know that maybe. He might not be at Villa for a very long time, so he'll want to stamp his authority and try and win something. And if you're the manager that brings back a top-level trophy to Villa Park, having it been so long without us winning one, you're a hero.
Martin Greenfield says, we have so many important players who won't get a first-team chance that deserve the opportunity to play, so good cup runs will hopefully offer those opportunities to try and keep them happy. Stuart Town says, I definitely sacrifice a cup run for Premier League survival this season. Would be nice for the young players to get a run if they're good enough. Perhaps they will.
A cup run can be a good thing. The season when Lambert got replaced by Sherwood, we were absolutely diabolical in the league. We were trying to play this tiki-taka football that was the slowest thing I've ever seen in my life. But we managed to get a little bit of a cup run going, and that kind of... We were still fighting for our lives under Sherwood to stay up, but the cup run kind of galvanised us a little bit. So an FA cup run in particular can be a really good thing. Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely. Lots of questions in. A lot of them are kind of squad based, so we'll go through those over the next couple of weeks, so please keep them coming in. It's been a pleasure to come back. Should mention Villa Mad wanted to basically know. He
didn't ask a question.
No, he didn't. No. He basically wants to know whether his questions will be censored this year. Essentially they will, because I sometimes forget to ask them. That's pretty much it.
I've had a few people, Anthony Hayes as well has given me a few digs at Villa Park as well about our questions, about his questions not being asked, but I always say Tom's in charge of the notes, mate.
Yeah, listen, the question asking is a purely random process, one by which, if I've remembered to write them down, they're in. Well, even then, there's
most things that happen in the podcast are completely random process.
Yeah, there's one here from Nick Francis, which is kind of, I feel like it comes around every the same. There's 2 questions that come around every off season. Should we be playing at Oasis, and is the badge the right shape? You got any thoughts on the badge? Or Oasis?
Originally, I liked the circular badge, but I guess I'm getting a little bit bored of the calls for it now. I mean, there's a few things going on at the moment that I associate with losing at the club, which I'd rather hadn't happened. But this badge, this one here, the one that Randy Lerner designed, it is associated a little bit with failure. So I wouldn't mind a new badge, but for me, it doesn't have to be circular.
I actually don't mind this badge.
Well, the prepared's gone now, which was quite ironic that we took that away.
Yeah,
because it wasn't a fair reflection of what was going on.
that does seem fair. But I guess it's a sign of the times that kits have changed. But obviously, I like the badge, the shield, where obviously the prepared was kind of written underneath.
Yeah, I liked that one.
But that's
it's era things.
Exactly, you associate it with your youth, don't you? And lots of people will associate this badge with them growing up, and maybe in 15, 20 years they'll call for this.
It's not a bad badge.
It's just a modern day badge, isn't it? It's very simple and clean cut. I don't mind it. I don't think about it very often.
No, nor me. I'm not as obsessed with the badge as some are.
There you go. And yeah, fair enough. You can get in touch with the comments. Leave a comment on.
The comments are cool.
On whichever badge you prefer. Also, what about the next stages of business? Are there positions that Villa still need to improve on? Who would you like to see at the club? All of those questions. Make sure you leave comments in there. We should say I've got a notification from Dan Rolinson. We still have a load of mugs, which is great. We've got a new batch of them in. So if you'd like a mug, you can get them directly from Rolo at his home address.
You get to meet Dan Rolinson, which I'm sure will be an honour for me.
Yeah, so if you're around the Hales Owen area, then get in touch with the Villa View on Twitter or Dan. His handle specifically, Dan Rolinson that is, and you can arrange to pick up with mugs. Any that we'll have left after then we'll put onto general sale. If you've been to 4 aways, you can get one. No, we'll have more details on how you can get them on general sale in the coming weeks.
Stop saying general sale.
Sorry.
That's how to season ticket holders at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. If you have an away booking history, you can get first dibs. What else do we want to talk about? So over the kind of last few weeks, we've had a really nice time at the Villa View.
We've had a good summer, to be fair. We've had a good off-season, I would say. A stronger off-season than on-season from the Villa View. Yeah,
so after a great day at Wembley, we obviously did the podcast. Then we had the game against Villa on tour for the Cup of Traditions. We brought it home.
Never in doubt.
You can still watch the video, obviously, on YouTube. It's not great footballing quality, but it's a bit of fun. So make sure you check that out if you haven't seen it already. And then a couple of weeks later, that same day, we had our live show.
Phenomenal.
Which was just unbelievable. A great experience for all 4 of us.
A stressful experience for Dan Rolinson.
He was
having kittens.
He was sweating blood
in his Strictly Come Dancing shirt.
But thank you so much to the people that were able to get tickets and come. We raised about £2,500 for 2 different charities, and Dan has put on the Twitter page what that money is going to, so check that out if you're
Tom's
interested.
notes went for £50, which is quite frankly ridiculous.
Cyberdon Blue bringing the big 50.
You wanted those notes?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments what you've done with those notes, please. Cyberdon Blue, I'd love to know where they are. Where do you reckon you framed them? Maybe, I don't know.
Who knows?
What do you do with the Tom Julian notes?
Put them in your computer desk drawer.
Put them in a bin.
Thanks. That's what I do with them. So that's still on YouTube as well.
Recycle them. You recycle them.
Very good. That's on YouTube as well if you want to check that out. Then, a couple of weeks later, we had the privilege to interview Stilian Petrov at Villa Park. That was a really, really incredible couple of hours. Stan gave us all the time in the world.
Flew by that 2 hours. I thought we'd only been recording for an hour. I was quite surprised when Rollo said that was an hour and 40 minutes. I couldn't believe it because it felt like it was under an hour. Just time flew with him.
Totally. So we go through his whole career and obviously his later battle with leukemia, which he smashed, and he had some really great insights into what it was like to play for Villa in that period, how the managers were.
Really, things that you would never have expected, like the fact that, for example, the players liked McLeish and things like that. Like, you'd never have expected that.
Totally. He talks a lot about Gerard Houllier, about the kind of atmosphere and the kind of relationships there. So stuff that he's never talked about before, which is frankly a privilege for us to have had that chat.
His comeback that should have been more as well. Still not very happy with that story.
So as Dan says, it's an hour 40, so if you don't have time to watch it, you can obviously stop, but make sure you do check that out because it's a great interview from Stan. So we massively thank the Stilian Petrov Foundation for that, and Villa as well for letting us use Villa Park for both of those occasions.
You should probably thank Brian Little as well for his time during the live event. There's a bit with him, isn't there, as well, where we interviewed Brian, and Brian sold some books on our event. Brian is just one of the best men I've ever met in my life.
Honestly, this summer has been magnificent for the Villa View. So, thank you to everybody that's made that happen because without you guys watching, without people that have donated prizes
unbelievable
for those that put money into the charity, we just thank you so much for all of those things.
Yeah, just a great summer, actually. Obviously, Villa going up was brilliant, and then we've managed to follow it up with some good things as well. Continue the celebrations and the party atmosphere, and now we're only a few weeks away from the new season.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice. We hope to do more stuff like that. Watch this space. It's very, very tricky, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah, we'd love to do more podcasts like we've just done with Stilian. Really would love to.
So if you've got any old ex-Villa players that you know and get on well with, and they be up for doing something like that, make sure you show them the Petrov podcast, and if they're up for doing it, let us know. Because we're keen.
Feels like an audition tape. Our Petrov podcast. Are these guys capable of pulling off a podcast with an ex-player?
You be the judge.
Yeah, you be the judge.
All right, let's get out of here because we've got to go to work.
Bad times, sad times.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. We'll go through the squad a little bit more. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment on this video. Watch all the other stuff that we've done this summer. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa. Apologies for the ramble.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.